Los Angeles, I'm and most Hollywood nights. She goes to California, oh, California.
What you say about Los Angeles?
LA got the people saying.
You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You're listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Now here's your host, Josh Guesman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Your host, Josh Guesman, with you flying solo tonight, but that's okay. I've got a bunch to talk about. I think maybe you guys have a bunch to talk about as well. And so we're going to do that. We have a recap of the RSL scrimmage coming up. Obviously, we're going to look at some other LA Galaxy news items, including the LA Galaxy's rally that'll be held on Sunday, and we have some exciting news about that you're going to want to stick around for. But ultimately, I am here for your questions, and that means that a relatively soon, relatively quick open to the Corner of the Galaxy hotline. So if you are interested and you want to call, I will tell you right now, you can take down this number. It is 949-734-4217, 949-734-4217. All right, and you can definitely get in there. It's a free-for-all on a Thursday before the LA Galaxy play their final preseason game on Saturday. The Portland Timbers are in town to take on the LA Galaxy in that final preseason game. Going to get possibly our best look at the LA Galaxy's probable starting lineup before the season starts on March 4th when the LA Galaxy host FC Dallas. Let's see, I have a nice cough going on as well, so if you see me dying on the side at the video or in the live show, or it suddenly goes quiet for a little bit, that'll be me coughing up a lung or doing something. But regardless, the time right now here at CoG Studios and everybody working at Corner of the Galaxy is extremely busy. There's tons of stuff going on right now. We are getting ready perhaps to show up at the Sunday season ticket member rally that is going on Sunday. So again, I'm going to have some more details on that as we go, and I'll try to give you my best idea of possibly what we will be able to do there whenever that happens. So that's what we have right now. But let's start with the LA Galaxy's 1-0 win over Real Salt Lake. This is something that I think a lot of you saw. This was a game that was streamed on Facebook. It was a scrimmage. It was a closed-door scrimmage that was streamed on Facebook. The gate that actually separates the LA Galaxy's training field from the parking lot where you would park to get into the training field usually has a blue tarp up on it. There's usually something that is drawn across there, so that way it's difficult for you to see what's going on in there. However, probably because of branding, probably because they need to make some new ones, because it always had, Spectrum Sportsnet. It probably said Time Warner Cable. That's probably what it said on the fence, but whatever's happening, they haven't put that up yet, so it was wide open. So basically, if you were at StubHub Center on Tuesday, like I was, you could stand in the parking lot for the most part. They weren't even kicking people out, because how can you kick people out when you're streaming something on Facebook? The closed-door scrimmage with Real Salt Lake was available for all, and people always ask me if you can go to closed-door games, and the answer is usually no, and I think that's what I have to tell you. I'll tell you that it seems like 75% of the times you go to a closed-door scrimmage and you end up actually being able to watch the entire game. So it's one of those things. If you want to risk it, I'm all for you coming into, going to that game and possibly getting to see it. Of course, you also need to be prepared for the fact that you may get chased away from the StubHub Center and the training fields over there. If you're ever looking at possibly getting autographs, this is a little insider tip. I know a lot of you know this. Probably everybody who listens to this podcast knows this is how you get into or get the best autographs from LA Galaxy players. Is you go to training. You're not allowed to go up to the fence and stand there in the parking lot. This is on the southeast entrance to StubHub Center. So it's on the opposite side, probably most of you come in. Southeast entrance to StubHub Center. You need to park somewhere, and basically anywhere you park, you could technically be getting a ticket and things could happen. But if you go there, if you go to training, and you can stand over by where the stairs come up out of the depths of StubHub Center. So down below, there's all these tunnels and everything. The Galaxy, what they do is they walk out of their locker room, they go down the hall past the Champions Lounge, and they go underneath the loading dock, basically, of StubHub Center. And that's where the players park their cars on game days. I think you've all seen videos of what it looks like underneath there. But anyway, if you walk there, there's a staircase that leads up from there and up towards the training fields, and that's the staircase that everybody comes up. Now, there's usually a little barricade and fence around this little standing area that they allow you to stand. And if you want to get autographs, this is the place to do it. There's always times you can get them after games sometimes if you're a season ticket holder. There's lots of things that you can do to kind of get you the same experience, but I know people who have gotten the entire team to sign something after training, before training, that type of thing. So if you are really, really looking for the experience and to get to see the guys and to probably get your best one-on-one, especially if you go during the day, during a weekday, I understand work, school, whatever you have is always in the way. But if you want to get the best experience, that's it. That's how you do it. You go there, and for the most part, they let you stand in that little area, and as the players come by back and forth, they will allow you to get your autographs, and you get to say hi to the players, and I've seen plenty of pictures of people doing it. That is the insider way of getting autographs and how you can really meet this team and sort of see. You don't get to watch training, so there's no advantage to that, but you do get to see the players come and go, and it's before, it's after. After is probably the better time, if you're asking me, but anyway. That's how that works. Okay, so that was a side note from the RSL game. The LA Galaxy win this preseason scrimmage, closed doors, streamed on Facebook. Scrimmage 1-0. A goal from Jaime Villarreal, that's Jose Villarreal's younger brother, ends the scoring. I think he scored just before halftime of some sort. Not a lot of people were keeping time. The younger kids, the second team, quote-unquote, played the first 60 minutes of this particular game. And then the last 30 minutes was reserved for the quote-unquote first team, and that's where you saw guys like Jermaine Jones and Joao Pedro and Romain Alessandrini and Ashley Cole and Ari Lassiter and those guys, Sebastian Lletget. That's where you saw that starting lineup sort of get comfortable, get into play. Was the last 30 minutes, and obviously they were saving them for the Saturday game, and they had just played last Saturday in that closed-door scrimmage up in Santa Barbara that was supposed to be at Santa Barbara and played on a nice field with grass, but because of all the rain, they had to end up moving it somewhere, and I think in Oxnard on a field, and it was football lines and all sorts of fun stuff there. So that's how it happened. All right, we got our first call. Let's see if we can bring this person in. 951, who's this? 951. Give me 1 second here. Let's see if we can get you into the studio. 951, can you hear us? Oh, it's going to be one of those days. I can tell already. All right. Well, we're going to hold on a second and see if we can possibly get Skype to work, because it's going to be a long show if Skype doesn't work. It's going to be one of those things where I don't have time for this not to work, and you don't have time for it not to work. So let's see if we can make some of this stuff happen and see if we can get some of the audio from Skype. Let's see. We're going to try it one more time, see if we can get this happen. 951, can you hear me?
Yeah, that was not on your end. That was on my end. I accidentally hit the mute button.
Oh, I see. So you made me scramble and hit all. Who's this? Who am I talking to?
It's Juan from Rialto again. How you doing?
Juan, thanks for calling in, buddy. I appreciate it. All right, Juan, you made me work hard. You freaked me out a little bit at the beginning. I was pushing all sorts of buttons. I don't know if everybody could see it on the live show.
That was all my fault. I'm gonna buy some more stickers for that.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair deal. All right, Juan, what's your question?
So we already know, we've been talking for a while about it's gonna be like the youth thing that we're gonna be testing out this season. My question now is, looking at our competition, who do you think is going to be the most dangerous in our conference that can give us the most problem for what we have?
That's always a great question. I always preface this by saying I am an LA Galaxy expert, and most of the time that means I pay no attention to anybody else in the league. But I will tell you that obviously I know that there are some dangerous teams. Listen, I think Seattle has way, way too much positive energy going around. Granted, it's always difficult for a team to repeat as sort of that team that surprised everybody, and Seattle was in last place. So I think again, it's FC Dallas. It's always FC Dallas. It could even be Portland.
Yeah.
Portland. Listen, both Portland and FC Dallas, I think, and I just got off the phone talking with one of my good friends, Chris Tucker, about sort of who's going to cause us problems. We were talking about the Portland game that's coming up, and listen, Portland and Dallas both like to play wide and quick. And I think if you're looking at the defensive problems that the LA Galaxy have with Robbie Rogers out, Rafa Garcia in there, and now it looks like Ashley Cole, I'm going to go into more of that a little bit later, is not going to be playing on Saturday. You have to understand.
Okay.
Yeah. It sounds like the LA Galaxy are going to have difficult covering around the edges. And if that's the case, those defensive spots where we're already thin are going to sort of be those weak points, those fast players on the outside. So I think anybody who has smarts. So you look at teams that play very smart. I always think FC Dallas is that team. They play very smart. They also play young and they play quick. All right. So, granted, I think this LA Galaxy team is more equipped to play quickly and to defend quickly than they ever were last year. All right.
That's what I was thinking. Well, because you think our enemy is still speed? I mean, I think that's like the least of our concerns now.
It is up to a certain point because you have to look at where you have the speed positions. I think the LA Galaxy will be able to use their speed to score goals. But speed and defending, look at those outside positions. Sebastian Lletget isn't particularly speedy. He's not going to be the guy who's going to be able to chase down a speedster in the midfield. Alessandrini isn't, from what granted, I've seen him play all of 23 minutes, Alessandrini isn't a flat-out speedster. He's quick, and he's quick going forward, but how is he going to be on defense? So who are my outside backs that are going to have to deal with that speed? And you look at Rafa Garcia, who is quick. I don't know that he's fast, and he's inexperienced in that defensive position, so I'm worried about that. And then if Ashley Cole, who's not fast but usually plays excellent angles, and so it doesn't matter, if Ashley Cole isn't playing, then is that Dave Romney who's in there at left back? And if Dave Romney is there, Dave Romney can't cover quick. So who's going to be my quickness and my speed guy on defense to stop the speed of somebody like FC Dallas? And that's where the question of speed is. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This team is faster, right? I mean, it's not even close. This team is faster, quicker. They're going to be able to run longer. Somebody finally said there was always a criticism of last year's team one where they were like, hey, this team can't play in Houston or Dallas in August because it's too hot, they're too old, and they're just not going to put in the effort, right? Well, the team that you have now is that team. They can be that team where they can go into Dallas or Houston whenever it's 100 degrees and it's humid, and they can battle because they're going to have the fitness. But still, I worry about the experience on the outside and who those outside players are and who's going to play defense there. So that's where I worry about speed. So
do you think that's going to have to come on Colonel Norfolk's shoulders to make it more of a like a lower or not as high a defensive line, and it's going to have to be more tactical to solve that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some tactics that you can do. It depends on who you're going to drop back. Obviously, Jermaine Jones and Joao Pedro are going to be some of that line of defense. So is Sebastian Lletget. He's going to have to be. He's going to have to be a defender. Alessandrini, from all the 23 minutes I've seen him play, I don't know what kind of defender he is yet. So that's going to be sort of a question. But, yeah, you're going to have to be smart about where Jones' position is. And one of the criticisms of Jones, Juan, is that he loves to get forward, and then sometimes he forgets that he actually has a defensive responsibility, right? And so that's part of that smart tactical. But even Jelle Van Dam can help in those situations because Jelle is a very smart defender, and he's able to play the angles correctly. So I'm not saying – I think the thing that's going to hurt the LA Galaxy in the defensive side for me is more experience than anything else, and experience and speed coming from a team like FC Dallas or Portland. Some of the other quicker teams. I actually think Houston's probably going to be pretty good this year as well. It just seems like they've made a lot of smart moves in that way. You could see all of these things sort of being put together. I will tell you that in the scrimmage that I saw against RSL and the first teams going up against each other, I thought the LA Galaxy were the better team compared to RSL. And RSL even had their starters in for 45 minutes. The Galaxy only had their starters in for about 30 minutes. So if you're looking for sort of a benchmark right now in the preseason, I thought the Galaxy played better than Real Salt Lake. But I don't even know how good RSL is going to be this year. That's
always like trash. Let's be honest.
They could be, or they could be like an RSL of old, where they're way better than you think than they should be. Anything else?
Right. Another quick thing. I was having fun on FIFA and everything, and I was trying different formations. And since it looks like Zardes is out, and who knows if knock on wood, but if Zardes does come back and has a healthy, pretty long year. But in case he doesn't, and we were talking about either Jack McBean or Lassiter, wouldn't it be better to just kind of switch that up and then move Gio up top and then have him as more of a false nine and go for like a 4-3-3? Because it looks like we actually have really good wingers now. as opposed to a strong center forward.
I would say that it seems that whenever you put Gio up top, he's not necessarily a false nine, perhaps a guy who could. Anytime you even mention 9 and Gio, I start to jitter a little bit because it doesn't. He never seems to work out as that 9 or even a false 9 or anything like that. He's a 10. He likes to cut back into the midfield. If you're going to have him as a 9, you have to understand he's not going to stretch the field. So you're going to rely on your outside guys like Alessandrini or Leggett if you're going to put him on the outside, sort of as a winger. They're going to have to provide you that depth or that vertical movement. Right? And so with Gio, the vertical movement for me is never there. So if you're going to do that, you're going to have to rely a lot on those outside wingers. And then you're also going to have to understand that Gio is going to come back and get in the way of whoever's playing that center mid position, Jermaine Jones or Joao Pedro or whoever you're going to sort of put into that position there. He's going to be in their way. And if they're okay with that, that means they just have to get forward and take his space. But you're asking those guys to do a lot, especially Jermaine Jones at 35. Is he going to run into the space for Gio? And I don't know that that's going to happen. So, yeah, I think there's a ton of formations that could possibly play out, and I don't think we are even close to understanding what it is. But with Zardes out, I think right now you're looking at Lassiter, who's going to start over Jack McBean. It just seems that's the way the minutes are going, but we're going to see on Saturday who maybe Curtin Alpha prefers in that role, and perhaps it is Jack McBean gets a start, or maybe it's going to be Ari Lassiter. So it's going to be one or the other for those guys, and I think we're going to have a good feel for it on Saturday. All right, Juan?
All right, that's all I got.
Cool, buddy. I appreciate the call, and for sure, call in again, all right?
No problem. Have a good one.
All right, there goes Juan. Always a great caller like Juan. He can call in anytime. Josh Guesman, stamp of approval. All right, again, phone lines are open, so please give us a call whenever you want to. 949-734-4217 is that thing. All right, going back to the recap. We're talking RSL scrimmage. We're talking all that. So, again, I told you the young guys. Jaime Villarreal, he scores the goal. Gets an assist from Emma Boateng, who looked good in this game. I liked Emma. He was playing with that second team again. For me, he's probably the first guy off the bench. He comes in for maybe a Romain Alessandrini, or he comes in for Sebastian Leggett when those guys are getting tired. And right now, if you're looking at a Saturday game, I think you almost have to expect that Saturday game is going to consist of, a limited role from Alessandrini, maybe 45 minutes, and then the next 45 minutes is probably going to be somebody like Emmanuel Boateng. So keep your eye open for that Saturday game and what we get out of them. All right, so. Again, that's sort of as Emma Boateng played good. Jack McBean played very well for the second team as well. I don't know. I've been getting a lot of shtick, obviously. I'm a big fan of what Jack McBean did last year. I was very much paying attention when all that was going on. I was going to LA Galaxy 2 games. I'm high on Jack McBean because he does things that the LA Galaxy really have nobody else on the team that does. Alan Gordon was that guy. Alan Gordon's gone. So you're not going to see him anymore. You're going to see Jack McBean in those positions that Alan Gordon was. He is that number 9 hold-up striker. He can play with his back to the goal, which is something that Ari Lassiter, I don't think that's not his strong suit, all right? So if you're looking for somebody to hold up the play and to involve Giovanni Dos Santos, this is my big deal. And I think Lassiter, like I said, is going to get the start. I saw him play with the starters for that 30 minutes. He looked dynamic. He's very good at running downhill. You get the ball in front of him. You let him do things inside the box, and he opened up a couple good scoring chances that, quite honestly, the Galaxy should have finished. And that's sort of the last thing that comes around is this finishing from the LA Galaxy. So you look at all these things that happen, and you say Lassiter played well, and that's great. But my biggest deal with Lassiter is that I don't feel like he involves Giovanni Dos Santos enough. And whenever Gio and Lassiter are on the field, that Gio tends to fall back, which shouldn't be the case because ultimately Giovanni Dos Santos should be the guy on this team. He is the guy that all of the LA Galaxy are waiting to have his breakout year. Last year was good. Last year was close to what he needed. Okay, but Giovanni Dos Santos needs more, or the LA Galaxy need more from Giovanni Dos Santos now. So this year is super important for Giovanni Dos Santos and super important for the LA Galaxy. They need to have something good from him this year. And if you were playing a guy like Ari Lassiter, who, again, I'm very high on, really like him, lots of energy, relentless recycling of runs, will go over and over, will make the run over and over again. Regardless if he's getting the ball, he's pulling people, and he's gotten bigger, he's gotten stronger since last year at LA Galaxy 2. He looks like he's much more formidable this year, so that's good. But to me, there's no connection there with Giovanni Dos Santos, and that's where you miss these things. If you go on cornerofthegalaxy.com, you can read sort of my notes on the scrimmage, and it's a scrimmage. I'm not going to tell you what the result was and whether that matters. I'm going to tell you who I thought was good, and sometimes I'll tell you who I thought was bad. I focus more on the good in this article, and that's where you should sort of see where things happen. But Ari Lassiter was good, and I enjoyed watching him. But you know who isn't on my list of good things is Giovanni Dos Santos. And how is Giovanni Dos Santos, your designated player, the guy who you're building around the entire team around? How is he not on my good list? Granted, it was 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, anybody can have a good game, anybody can have a bad game. It's such a small amount of time. But you would expect for your designated player, Giovanni Dos Santos, to make an impact enough to where you notice him, like Jelle Van Duim did. Jelle Van Duim had a very good game, physical presence, all in the center, blah, 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 the whole deal. All right, Galaxy did well. They got caught, I think, once or twice. RSL should have scored. They didn't. Jack McBean should have scored in the first half, didn't. So you look at all the different things that happen. But that first-team defense still hasn't given up a goal. So look at that positive way, too, that we've talked so much about the defense and Rafa Garcia at right back instead of Robbie Rogers. This team hasn't given up a goal, whether that's just because it's preseason and nobody really has their finishing touch. I imagine Portland is going to be fairly ready for the finishing touch come Saturday. So, I mean, that'll be a good test, but I thought Rafa Garcia did just fine. He's not on my list of good players that played, but quite honestly, from my vantage point at the end line on a flat field, trying to find all the players and see all of them is more difficult than probably you'd think. So it's always difficult to sort of see which players are where, and that's why sitting up in the press box over top of everything gives me a much better vantage on things. But I thought Rafa Garcia did fine. The big deal here for me was that Romain Alessandrini trains on Monday for the very first time, plays 30 minutes for LA Galaxy in the scrimmage against RSL, looked good. All right? That's all you can say about his 30 minutes. He looked good. He likes to cut inside. He can use his left foot. He has a very good understanding between Jelle Van Duim, who, by the way, he can speak French too. So you have Romain Alessandrini and you have Jelle Van Duim being able to speak French to each other, which is just a huge bonus, plus all sorts of great stuff there. Just like it. They all speak English to each other. It works in all different ways and different forms. It's one of those small world, everybody knows soccer type things, and it works well. But I loved, and the thing that really drew my focus was Alessandrini playing with Ashley Cole, playing with Jermaine Jones, playing with Jelle Van Duim, playing with Joao Pedro, and even put Sebastian Lletget in there. That core group right there is everything you want from the LA Galaxy. If those guys can be positive, if you can keep those guys healthy and together, the LA Galaxy could be very successful because there is interchangeability throughout that entire lineup. In 30 minutes, Alessandrini has trained with the team for one training session. In 30 minutes, there was interchange of positions between Ashley Cole, between Alessandrini, between Jermaine Jones. Jermaine Jones comes out on the left-hand side. Alessandrini cuts inside. Gio's able to open up space. Lassiter, I think if he was a little smarter, could have opened up more space for Giovanni Dos Santos. And then you had Sebastian Lletget on the right-hand side. He was interchanging with Joao Pedro. This is the type of fluid, interesting soccer that was completely missing for whatever reason last year. And it's one of the things that I think is, like, it's the thing that you want to focus on the most in terms of, the LA Galaxy and how different they are from last year to this year. This is one of those things, that fluid interchangeability. All right, 323, who's this? Hey, Jose, buddy, you know what? I can barely hear you, and I'm trying to see if it's me. There we go. It was me. What do you know? All right, try again, Jose.
All right, can you hear me now?
I got you. There we go. We sound like a Sprint commercial.
There you go,
or
man.
was it a Verizon?
Well, you're talking about, like, finishing comes last usually through these preseason games, and you're mentioning about the LA Galaxy are creating chances, but, always the thing that comes in last is the finishing, right?
Right.
Well, unfortunately for the LA Galaxy, their week one opponent has already figured out the finishing part.
Yeah.
They thrashed Aro Unido 4-0 in their CCL match. So for Galaxy fans, that's probably like a bad result because now, FC Dallas can take it a lot easier in the second leg and then just focus on the week one game at LA. And so hopefully we're going to have Ashley Cole back because FC Dallas looks legit. I know Kevin Baxter mentioned on Monday that that's his pick for MLS Cup favorites. So
yeah.
Hopefully the team gets back together and back healthy.
Yeah, I know that is going to be an interesting thing, and I think maybe I should get into. You want to add anything else? Because I'm sure I'm going to go into a long rant or at least a discussion about Ashley Cole and his injury now. I think that's next on my on my thing. What else you got?
Yeah, about Alessandrini. I know you mentioned he played 30 minutes on the scrimmage for the RSL. How long do you think he's going to be playing tomorrow? Or actually, not tomorrow, Saturday.
On Saturday. I honestly, I think I said about 45 minutes, 45 to 60. I think that he comes in with a little more stamina than probably people give him credit for, just because he was just playing in France. And now, granted, it's been about 3 weeks since he's actually played, but you have to imagine that he's able to get fairly back into physical shape rather quickly. So I would say 45 to 60 minutes is probably a reasonable expectation, and then that goes into the FC Dallas game. I think you could expect to see him maybe 75 to the 90 minutes. I mean, that seems like that's reasonable for Alessandrini.
Right. So we think he should likely be match fit by the time week 1 starts. Correct.
Week 1, week 2, you're right about there. He should be 90 quote unquote 90 minutes. Although I think he's a position that gets subbed. Because he's a winger, because he's one of those guys running back and forth and doing all the work. He may be one of those guys who gets subbed in like the 80th minute or 85th minute whenever you have, hopefully if you have a lead, he's one of the guys that comes off and you give Emma Boateng some time on the ball as well. But I think that they're going to be a little conservative with him to start just because he's starting back up. But I would expect 75 to 80 minutes maybe is probably his ceiling week 1, week 2.
Right. I was getting a little worried because I know Kevin was mentioning they might, even rest him up for week 1 and maybe kind of throw him in more into week 2. But I agree with you that it's probably better to just start him up, get as much out of him as you possibly could, and then just have that super sub role with Ema or even Raul, whoever is going to take up his spot for sub. So
yeah, I would expect.
Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, Jose. All right, thanks for the call, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
All right, so let's get into this. So again, Alessandrini, lots of interchange there. Loved him with Ashley Cole, loved him with Jermaine Jones, loved him with Yella Van Dam, loved the interchange between Joao Pedro. Here's the thing about Joao Pedro, and again, it's my first time in person watching him. Very physical guy. Easy to spot with his hair. I always like that and enjoy that. Jermaine Jones controls the center, and then almost like Joao Pedro orbits around Jones. So Jones is the sun, and then Pedro sort of orbits around him, probably from behind, and looks for spaces to get forward. Joao Pedro, as much as he was brought in to be this defensive, stopper and sweeper, I think that Joao Pedro is going to be an offensive weapon just as much. And you've seen it. The last Saturday game, if you saw the highlights, he's the one who got the assist to Giovanni Dos Santos. That late run from Gio, an overlapping right-hand run, so Pedro and Leggett end up being on the same side of the ball. I think even Ari Lassiter might have been over there as well. And so you had this overload on the right-hand side that sort of sprung Pedro, and Pedro found Giovanni Dos Santos. That is what you can expect from Joao Pedro, and I hope to see more of that. The problem, of course, is that you can't have Jones doing that and Pedro doing that at the same time, because then nobody's actually covering the middle. But the positive side of that is that if you need cover from the middle, Alessandrini can cut into the middle. Giovanni Dos Santos can cut into the middle. And you can even have somebody like, let's see, Joao Pedro. You could even have somebody like Sebastian Leggett come into the middle and cover that center as well. So, again, that's the interchange that I like to see. If you're looking for dynamic play from the LA Galaxy, that's where I want you to focus. This is center of midfield, and watch them work out towards the wings, watch those wings work in towards the center, and watch Giovanni Dos Santos find space somewhere in between there. And that's the hardest thing about all of this, is where does Giovanni Dos Santos take place? You do not want to pair him with a guy who is going to run into his space. And perhaps even Alessandrini needs to be careful not to cut inside too much and take away the space of Giovanni Dos Santos. But I imagine that everybody can work that out. I imagine there's smart people who can figure this stuff out. So we'll see if that's the actual case and sort of see what comes off of that. All right, we got another call, 909. Who's this?
Hey, what's up, Josh? This is Javi in Dallas.
Hey, how's it going, Javi?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Hey, man, I'm digging the goatee there, the little shadow, a little bit of that shadow going there. I'm digging that.
Yes. This is laziness to its peak. All right, shaving takes a lot of time. My dad told me there were a lot of great things about growing up. All right, he went into a lot of things probably that I shouldn't share on this particular podcast. But the worst thing of all of it, he said, was having to shave every day. And if you could avoid that somehow, you're probably doing okay. So I haven't shaved in a couple days. That's where this comes from. Yes.
It's working. It's working for you. It's
Thank
working.
you.
All right. So, hey, there's a lot of things to be excited about on that scrimmage.
Right.
One of those things is Ari Lassiter, I think you had mentioned on the last show on the from the box with Kevin,
right,
that Ari Lassiter is probably the projected starter.
That's
that
how
might
I
be a
feel.
good thing.
Yeah, that's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, and McBean. I mean, McBean looks solid. I mean, he looks solid from last time we saw him. I mean, there was no hesitance there. He seems to be kind of established. I mean, he's pushing people around and just kind of knows. He looks like he knows his way around up there. So that's encouraging too.
Yeah, no,
I was excited about that.
No, I think it's really interesting. Listen, here's the difference between Ari Lassiter and Jack McBean. If the ball is played and both of them have their back to the goal, if the ball is played into them and somebody tries to foul them from behind, right? Ari Lassiter, Giovanni Dos Santos, Jose Villarreal, almost anybody, Gyasi Zardes, almost anybody you put in that situation, Zardes probably on the least of those other grouped with the others, is going to go down. All right? Jack McBean is going to hurt somebody if they try to do that. All right? Because if you try to run through Jack, he just turns you, and as you hack him, I always said, if they only called 50% of the fouls that Jack McBean draws, they would be blowing the whistle like every time he touched the ball. And that's 50% because he gets hacked from behind because he's so big. He takes up so much space, and he's so smart with it. There was a play in the scrimmage in the first half where the ball came into him, and he's turning, and the guy is like basically piggybacking on the back of him. He's almost got him in like a neck lock. Jack is still able to turn, is getting fouled the entire time he's turned, and he puts a ball through that, quite honestly, the Galaxy should have scored on. It was the perfect example of what Jack McBean gives you that nobody else on the team has right now.
Yep. Yeah, Jack looks like a man. That's the only way to put it. I mean, he looks really great. That's a great. I can only see good things. I don't think anybody needs to be quaking about Gyasi being out. I mean, certainly it's not the greatest thing, but I think that we're covered. I think those kids. I think they're confident with Kurt. Having confidence in them. So it's going to be exciting.
Awesome.
What do you think of Rafa?
Rafa, you know what? Okay, so, there's been lots said about Rafa Garcia. I was told by somebody, granted a team employee, that on Saturday, in that closed-door scrimmage that was up in Oxnard, Santa Barbara, up there, that he had a very good game. All right, I saw the highlights. I see like one missed header, and it's Rafa, and, I sort of have to base it off that. I thought he was okay in this game. He got forward when he needed to, which is something that I think everybody's like, stay home. We don't need you to get forward. But ultimately, you're going to need him to contribute somewhat to that attack on the right-hand side. So you want him to get forward a little bit. He needs to have in the back of his mind, stay back. But if the opportunity is there to take the space, to move forward, and to combine with Leggett and Joao Pedro and Giovanni Dos Santos on that right-hand side and sort of try to work that ball up through. So I like that from him. It's about, the level of competition. Again, this team when he's been on the field, this team has not been scored on. So you look at that and say, can we take anything from that? And I think it's more, again, the finishing isn't quite there with most MLS teams. So it's something to watch. But I think that Rafa is progressing. I think that if anybody is going to pull this off, it's Rafa Garcia. If anybody was going to go from like a central midfielder to an outside right back, it's Rafa Garcia. But again, it's like the rest of this team, Javi. It's such an unknown. And somebody, my good buddy Scott on Twitter, Scott was criticizing me for being so negative on the last show I did with Wendy, this last show. And he was like, that was the most negative you guys have ever been. And somebody asked us, best case, worst case scenario for the LA Galaxy. And, the worst case, and I said this, I'll say it again. The worst case scenario is I could see this team winning like 6 or 8 games. Like, winning no games. Like, just getting thrashed in Major League Soccer, getting run over. I could see that because I don't know how healthy this team is going to be, and already we're seeing signs that it's not so healthy. And if that continues throughout the year, and we love to say when the team is healthy, and that's one of my favorite things to say, is when this team is healthy, it's going to be a good team. When this team is, is all put back together, when everybody's done with these injuries, Javi, everybody's going to be fine, and it's going to be good. But you never know if that's ever going to happen over the course of a year. And if that doesn't happen, and you have to rely on completely untested depth, and the depth could come from those LA Galaxy 2 kids who could be excellent, amazing, great guys. Okay, they could be everything that you wanted from, a depth. We could end this season, Javi, and you and I could be talking at the MLS Cup, championship show that we're doing after it's won, and we could say, look how deep this team is. Look at Ari Lassiter and Jack McBean coming on. Look at, Bradford Jamison IV, Raul Mendiola, Jose Villarreal. Look at all these guys, Josh Turnley and Nathan Smith. We are stacked. The LA Galaxy are stacked from here until, for 3 or 4 years. This was the plan, and they got the plan right, Javi. That could happen, or we could say this team was the shallowest team that the LA Galaxy have ever had. So that's...
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. I think the prospects, I'm more optimistic. You're right. There might be some crucial injuries, but looking at it's a little bit unpredictable depth, but I like our prospects this year. It's something to be excited about. Yeah, it's unpredictable, but it looks promising, I think.
Yeah, it was interesting. All right, Javi, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna finish this story, but I appreciate the call. All right.
All right, thanks, buddy.
All right, thanks, Javi. Talk to you soon. All right. I'm going to tell you a story that just happened, and somebody was saying, I don't think that even the most optimistic Galaxy fan is saying MLS Cup. And I said, well, I'll be honest. If even the most optimistic LA Galaxy fan said MLS Cup, you'd probably want to smack them right now. It's so far from where I think most people have this LA Galaxy team. And where this LA Galaxy team lives right now is in limbo. They're not good, they're not bad. They're somewhere in between that we don't know yet. And that's the idea, is we don't know how good this team is or how deep the team is, just like I was saying with Javi. So if you are that MLS Cup, the LA Galaxy are going to win MLS Cup guy, you could be right. In fact, go to Vegas. Actually, don't go to Vegas. I heard that Vegas has the LA Galaxy as MLS Cup favorites, so don't take that bet. Wait till the middle of the year. Maybe it'll be better odds. Who knows? It's not like you're taking Leicester City, right? And at the beginning of the year and be like, oh, they're gonna win the Premiership. It's not like that's. Although that's, I think, how LA Galaxy fans feel a little bit right now, is that they feel that it's so far from a championship winning side. We don't know. I got hit up again. Somebody saying I was not positive enough, and I take a little offense to the fact that I'm not. I happen to think that I'm a fairly level-headed person, that I give you guys my best opinion on things. And if you're looking for my best opinion right now on the LA Galaxy, the answer is, very simply, the LA Galaxy are question mark. I can't give you, my best opinion is that they could be really good, they could be really bad. So if you don't want to listen to the part where I say this team could go deep into the Western Conference Finals, perhaps even win the Western Conference, maybe they could win a Supporter Shield if they stay healthy, if that depth comes up. If you hear me say that and you're saying, and you don't realize that's positive on that side, and then you can't understand that I could also say this team could win 10 games total the whole year, not score very many goals, then I don't think you're understanding. But anyway, we got an email from Jacob, and Jacob says his subject line is just a little more positivity, and he says, with the end of last season and this preseason, you guys make everything seem real depressing. I feel like I'm alone and still being quite excited for this new season. In your next show, I want you to say 5 positive things about the upcoming season, and here are Jacob's 5. He has a positive of Giovanni Dos Santos. He has a positive of Jelle Van Dam. He has a positive of Brian Rowe has had some time to mature and could be even better, and he's part of Team Josh. Jacob, that is already one of my favorite takes of the year. I like it. I'm going to send it to Wendy whenever I'm done. Sebastian Lletget could possibly be amazing, number 4. And 5, even more opportunities to watch soccer. Listen, my number 1 reason there, Jacob, is always going to be watching soccer. I think this team is going to be wildly entertaining. If you don't think this team is going to be entertaining, then don't come to the stadium, because I don't know how you could go into the season and not see the entertainment value in this particular team. Quicker, faster, younger. You wanted younger, you got younger. You're going to get younger in all sorts of ways that you never thought younger could be. All right, younger could be great. Younger could be horrible. All right, it could be untested. Everybody wants to go younger until they understand the ramifications. And somebody said, well, I didn't mean I don't want everybody to be younger. I don't want the LA Galaxy 2 guys on this team. I want a younger DP. Well, you got one. Romain Alessandrini, 27 years old. Giovanni Dos Santos, younger DP. Jelle Van Dam, younger DP, is 33. You got all that. But you also got younger in a lot of places. You got younger in the center of midfield with Joao Pedro. You got Jermaine Jones, who is just 35 years old. Don't know what you're going to get. That's a question mark. But right now, Jermaine Jones is the only place that offense is being created on this LA Galaxy team. If you are down on the Jermaine Jones trade because of how much money they're paying him, I understand that. If you are down on Jermaine Jones because you don't think he can do the job, then you're incorrect. You're incorrect. He can do the job. He is going to be one of the biggest creators for the LA Galaxy. He is going to be the reason that Giovanni Dos Santos is successful this year. All right, is Jermaine Jones. Now, can Jermaine Jones stay healthy at 35 years old, having played 9 games for Colorado last year? I don't know. That's a fair criticism. But Jermaine Jones, if healthy, he's the smartest player on the field right now. Bar none. I've watched it. I saw the scrimmage. All right, I've seen it in multiple scrimmages. As soon as he started playing, he was the smartest guy on the field. He makes passes, and here's where you're going to criticize him. You're going to say, Josh, sometimes it's completion rate. His passes to the forwards, not very high. And Josh, I'm going to tell you, you're not paying attention. Jermaine Jones played the perfect ball. Guy like Ari Lassiter, guy like Giovanni Dos Santos, a guy like Jack McBean, a guy like Romain Alessandrini, any of those guys weren't paying attention. And you can see it all the time. You see it constantly. All right, and that's what you're getting from Jermaine Jones. So that's positive. You want to come watch an exciting team. This is going to be, it could be an exciting loss. All right, it could be the LA Galaxy lose 6-5. Although, quite honestly, I wonder where those 6 goals will come from. So maybe that's a horrible example. All right, maybe the Galaxy won't score that many goals. I don't know, but it's fun. But anyway, in this scrimmage, the real, and in my article I wrote on cornerofthegalaxy.com, take one step forward, one step back. Ashley Cole got hurt. Ashley Cole got hurt playing a position that the LA Galaxy are very shallow in. All right, so this is I was done with my positive stuff. I thought I was pretty positive, by the way, Jacob. I always appreciate the email. Please write in again. If you think I wasn't positive enough, I want to hear more. Give me more. Email us, cornerofthegalaxy@gmail.com. I read every single email. It's usually my intent to get the email on every single show. But as you can tell, I never shut up. So sometimes I forget about that stuff, so I apologize. But please, cornerofthegalaxy@gmail.com. So Ashley Cole goes down. It looks like a calf injury. All right. He was not happy. One of the awesome things about watching a scrimmage from the sideline on a training field, not in a stadium and all that fun stuff, is the fact that you get to hear everybody yell and swear and curse and scream, and the instructions and the joking and the absolute complete complaining that they talk to the referees all the time. And you get to hear Kurt Onalfo yell, and you get to hear Jermaine Jones yell in the center, and you get to hear Brian Rowe yell, and it's a different game. It's basically like watching your kids play soccer if you've ever done it. Only there's not kids and they're saying the F word a lot. It's a lot of fun, but you get to see that. But you get to see that interaction. You get to hear Kurt Onalfo yell, "Close it out. You did the work. Now close it out." Right? It's talking to his guys about the young guys about closing out the first half. You did the work. You got the goal. Now close it out the right way. Do your work. Communication, concentration. Communicate, concentrate. That's Kurt Onalfo yelling from the sidelines. Those are direct quotes from him talking to both teams. Right? But Ashley Cole goes down. He gets injured. The depth at left back is not good. The depth at right back is not good. Yes, it can go back to the AJ De La Garza trade. All right, you can look at that and say that the team's depth was severely limited and severely hurt with AJ De La Garza going to Houston. Now you have to make it work. Rafa Garcia is playing right back. He might do a good job back there. Let's watch and see what happens. I mean, Rafa Garcia is playing in a position that if he can make it his own, with Robbie Rogers in the timetable that we currently have for him, which is no timetable, that could be the answer to everything. All right? Rafa Garcia could save the LA Galaxy season this year. Absolutely could be. Now Ashley Cole goes down. No depth. Dave Romney, probably the left back that comes in there. All right? You have guys like Nathan Smith. You have guys like Josh Turnley, who have possibly more depth at right back, left back. All right? Everybody said that they didn't want to play Dave Romney over on the right back because he's not right-footed, and he's left-footed. And that's a bunch of Habernacky, Sally Wack, whatever you want to say that's ridiculous. He could play there if they wanted to. But now it's probably a good thing you weren't trying him over there because he may have to come in at left back. Ashley Cole has a calf injury. He got upset. I didn't see it happen. I saw the result of it, which was Ashley Cole limping to the sidelines, everybody very quiet on the LA Galaxy sideline. Ashley Cole screaming in anger and in frustration, throwing his shin guard down, was really upset. It was the kind of upset where it was like, hey, this isn't a 1 week injury type thing. This feels more like a longer term injury. And Ashley Cole missed the beginning of last year, if you remember, CCL games, and I think even maybe the first game of the year, Ashley Cole didn't play in those games. He was absent. All right. And I think Dave Romney was even in there playing. So That's what you're currently at. You're left with the fact that Dave Romney is probably going to be in there at left back, and if they put somebody else in there, Nathan Smith or Josh Turnley or however they decide to do it, they could even do crazy things that you probably don't even want to imagine yet. But the lineups could go crazy if you really wanted to. With this injury now, with Ashley Cole, one of the best defenders on the team last year, he probably is only second to Jelle Van Dam, but Jelle Van Dam did so much more than just defend. He was the leader, and he was that attacking option. He was the most dangerous guy in the field. He was not really arguably the team's MVP last year. He was Defender of the Year. That's great, but Ashley Cole was like his right-hand man, and those two together on that side. And I already talked about the interchange between Romain Alessandrini and the smarts involved over there. The fact that you just lost Ashley Cole is a huge, huge issue to this LA Galaxy team. And how long he's out right now, timetable-wise, let's wait and see. I do not think this is just hey, he's not going to be playing Saturday. I don't think Ashley Cole is ready for the season opener now. So you can do with that what you want. I wouldn't panic. Again, there's a story here. There's adversity. There's issues already testing the LA Galaxy's depth. And I don't know that you obviously it's not ideal and you wouldn't want this to happen, but if you're going to have it happen now. Test that depth now. Let's see where this team is at. Let's see how these guys can play. Everybody tells me, and I was talking to an LA Galaxy spokesperson about this, and we were talking about how I was very excited about the LA Galaxy starting lineup. Love the starting lineup. Think that they are going to be fun, dynamic, really interesting to watch, could be really good in Major League Soccer, quite honestly. Really, really excited about that. You get away from the starting lineup with Rogers out, with Ashley Cole out, and you start testing that depth. It's unknown. We don't know what it is. And even that person said, I think some of these LA Galaxy 2 kids are ready. And my response was, I think you're right. I think some of them are, but some of them aren't going to be ready. And it's that is worrying to, I think, LA Galaxy fans, is some of these kids, and that's how it is with every development, some of these kids aren't going to cut it. All right? And Ashley Cole going down now, that's an issue. Keep an eye on this LA Galaxy defense. The LA Galaxy will probably hold that designated player spot. Remember, they can pay down Jelle Van Dam, and they can go get another designated player. They're probably going to hold that until summer, which makes sense. Right now, and everybody keeps saying Jonathan Dos Santos, don't have your heart set on that. Chris Klein has said multiple times they're going after what they need. If they need a designated player, if they need somebody in defense in summer, and the only way to get that person is in a designated player role, you don't think that they're going to bring somebody in? That's the question now. You don't think they're going to bring in a designated player as a defender? And as much as I would be jumping up and down saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. The bottom line is that there's a trend in the league right now to bring in and spend more money in the defensive side. But you already spent a ton of money on Jelle Van Dam on the defensive side. Can you afford to sink more in there? And bottom line is that this whole season will revolve around that AJ De La Garza trade and what happened and what could have been if he had still been there. Granted, you would already be trying to play somebody like Dave Romney probably in that left back position if AJ De La Garza was in for the Rafa Garcia thing. But again, it would make everybody feel a lot better, wouldn't it? You'd feel better at home, so I understand that. But this isn't about AJ De La Garza anymore. We got to move past that. All right? The season may be judged on that, but that season's not going to come to conclusion until the LA Galaxy either miss the playoffs or get eliminated from the playoffs or win an MLS Cup. I wanted to put them all out there. I didn't want to be accused of being too negative. All right? I'm trying to be positive over here. I am positive about this. I'm excited to see soccer on Saturday. I think you should be too. The LA Galaxy will host the Portland Timbers at 8 p.m. at StubHub Center. This game is on Spectrum Sportsnet, so you don't have to be there. But why would you not be there? It's a preseason game. It's soccer. You're going to get to see somebody like Romain Alessandrini and Joao Pedro. You're going to get to see those guys play against, teams that are ramping up. This is it. Last preseason game, at least the last published one that I've seen for the LA Galaxy. The next week, they will host FC Dallas. You heard Jose call in, and FC Dallas, figured out how to score goals. So, it could be a rough introduction to the Curtin Alfo era. Absolutely. Could be very difficult for the LA Galaxy starting very soon. All right, 559, who's this?
It's Raul up in Visalia.
Raul. The first person to call whose name didn't start with a J, by the way, I would just like to point that out. It was all J's until
I had to
Raul.
mix it up, man.
All right, Raul, how's it going, buddy? What do you got?
Before I ask my question, I just want to say that as far as positivity, thank you and thank Wendy and thank Kevin for keeping it real, because I think that's what's most important. It's not about being fake positive or being too negative. It's just about keeping it real.
Yeah,
that's what we want as fans.
Yeah,
You know?
Raul, I appreciate that. I know Kevin and Wendy both appreciate it too because, quite honestly, I want to be as positive as I can be, and I think that anytime I get super excited, people don't realize I may cover the LA Galaxy. I may have a little bit of an arm's length, view of these guys sometimes because I have to work with them, I have to write about them, I have to report about them. I get all that, but I get super excited for the beginning of the season. I can't wait to go watch soccer. I am too. I'm just jittery. I'm like, preseason game? Yes, put me in there. All right, Raul, what do you got?
Well, I was going to ask, since you were talking about DP signings, I think we need to sign a DP striker. That's just me. Maybe I'm in the minority about it, but what do you think?
Okay, so again, we go into the who do we have, right? So you have Giassi Zardes. You have to imagine that he's going to be healthy here come week 2, week 3, and back into the starting lineup. So you have him, you have Giovanni Dos Santos, which may or may not be a striker. He may be a number 10 that, plays withdrawn more than anything else, but he's still technically one of those guys up top. So you have those guys. You have Jack McBean, who's probably going to be the sub off the bench if those two guys are healthy. And you have Ari Lassiter, who could also be a sub off the bench, and they could switch out. So those are your guys that have. You also possibly could move Alessandrini up into a striker role as well. So there's lots of options there. Here's the thing. If those guys aren't scoring goals, I could see summertime, the LA Galaxy going to get a striker. Absolutely.
And that was my concern, too, is that Josh is going to be gone for multiple games with the national team.
Right.
So is Dos Santos.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. No, those guys are going to be. Listen, I've said it already. Come national team time, this LA Galaxy team, I have no idea who plays anymore. I don't even want to go into the depth charts that go into all that stuff. It's like it starts to get crazy, and that's the thing that's going to hurt the Galaxy is that who are these guys behind it? I mean, you could even have some LA Galaxy 2 guys, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else possibly could be that striker and move up there. But, I mean, Raul Mendiola is going to play enough to where maybe you move Sebastian Lletget, forward into a striker role. You could do lots of things to get by, but ultimately it's going to be, are the LA Galaxy scoring goals come summertime? If they're not, then where's the solution? You've already spent money in the center of midfield with Jones and with Joao Pedro. So are you going to now spend money on, you have two ways. You're either going to spend it on defense, which you already spent a bunch of money with Jelle Van Dam, but if there's still lack of depth there, then maybe that's the place to spend it. Or you could go up and spend it in the attack and the strikers. And there is no wrong answer right now. The right answer will be what happens in the summertime and when that window opens up. That's when the right answer will become apparent, I think, to everybody.
Hopefully it's not in defense. Because if it is, then this is a mess that was created by the Galaxy when they got rid of AJ. Not to keep bringing it up.
No, I know. Hey, I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, you can't. And anybody who wants to say, we need to move on from the AJ thing, I agree. You need to move on from it, but at the same time, you have to realize cause and effect, what has happened. Are you in as much panic, Raul, right now? If AJ De La Garza's on this team, you're probably not, right?
No way.
And granted, you're going to have to start Dave Romney at left back, but you have a solid 3 defenders. You can make up for any of the Romney issues. Now you don't have you have a solid 1. I think most people would say solid 1 with Jelle Van Dam back there. And he's playing next to Daniel Steres, who I think a lot of people really don't like. And I seem to like him just fine. I like Dan Steres a lot. I think he can do the job. But then you have Rafa Garcia, unknown. You have Dave Romney, unknown. So there's 3 unknowns in the back line now. How are you feeling? You sleeping well at night?
That's a scary defense in MLS.
It can be.
Scary defense.
And that's sort of what it's going to be. What is Atlanta going to do this team? Granted, Atlanta's an expansion team, but, with all the attacking options they seem to have, what is somebody like that? What is Portland even going to do to the LA Galaxy on Saturday night? That's the fun thing is we're actually going to get answers to some of this stuff now, and that's the fun part.
I think you're right. I think these preseason games were fun to watch and get us excited, but we're going to find something out about our team this Saturday, that's for sure.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. All right, Raul, thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Josh. Take care.
All right, there's Raul. All right, let's get to this. Again, LA Galaxy host Portland Timbers, 8 p.m. Game is on Spectrum Sportsnet. You can follow it there on Saturday. I will be there covering the game. I will also be there on Sunday. Sunday. I always wanted to do that monster truck. I know everybody does it, but it just, for me, it's always been especially fun, and I have a microphone, so I can make that happen. The season ticket member rally is from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, February 26th. There are all sorts of amazing fun things that are going to happen. Town Hall with Pete Vianis, Kurt Arnolfo, Chris Klein, player introduction ceremony, photos with MLS Cup trophies, food trucks, equipment sale featuring game and training gear worn by the players. So if you want some smelly shorts worn by Jelle Van Dam. Yes, they've been washed, boys and girls, but can they ever really get unclean from Jelle Van Dam? He just seems like a sweaty guy. That's why I say that. I'm sure there's some people who are already lining up for that. Food trucks, equipment sale, LA Galaxy 2-player interactions, alumni interactions with Kobe Jones, Kevin Hartman, Mike McGee, Eddie Lewis, Clint Mathis, and Alexi Lawless, and then first team autographs as well. Each season ticket member has been allotted a number of tickets to the event that is equal to the amount of seats they have. Similar to a game, all season ticket members will need a ticket to enter this exclusive event. Here's the fun part, or at least the fun part for me. Tentatively scheduled, depending on weather. This happens rain or shine, by the way. I'm just saying what we have planned might be sort of tentatively based on weather. But Corner of the Galaxy plans on being there. I'm going to be there for sure. I have some other people who from the podcast who may also be there with me. We're going to figure that out and go. But what we are planning on doing is recording a podcast from the event. Hopefully, if it's raining, they put us in a suite and we'll invite people to come in. You can come in and listen to the show as we're doing it, and we're going to have people come up and talk on the microphones. And we're going to get, quite honestly, it's going to be a positivity fest because I'm just going to be happy to be there with the season ticket members. And hopefully, you guys can come say hi to us. We can talk a little bit, even if it's not on air, off air, we can take some breaks, that type of thing. It's not going to be a live show. It'll be recorded and then we'll release it. But ultimately, we could be there for 2 hours. I plan on taking my microphone around to some of the alumni guys as well and possibly getting some one-on-one time with them. So that's the plan for us. I plan on bringing stickers, which if you come up and you see us at the show, you'll get to take a sticker home. I have some of our square flyers that we have that hopefully you can take home and either, put up on your fridge or give to friends so you can spread the word. But ultimately, Corner of the Galaxy should have a presence there. And as soon as I know exactly where we're at, follow us on the social media. That's where you can find us. It should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Last year, the season ticket member rally was, we got lucky enough to have Alexi Lawless on and who was there and reporting from it. And so then he ended up passing it to a whole bunch of the alumni. We talked to Kevin Hartman and Todd Donovan. And I'm trying to think of who else we got. Oh, Clint Mathis. Clint Mathis, I think, was the other guy we got to talk to as well. So hopefully there'll be more of that. But I'm looking forward to having you guys there because this should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about it. So we'll see how that goes. That's where we're going to be. Follow us at Galaxy Podcast, Instagram, Twitter, on Facebook, Corner of the Galaxy. Any of those places, I will keep you as updated as I possibly can. I am, packing up my show. I'm not going to have the cameras there, but, Jesus, I think I got, 3 microphones, a soundboard. I'm debating whether or not to bring my entire audio rack just because I think it might be fun. But then I'd have to, take all this stuff down. Who knows how that's going to go? But that's our plan. We want to be there with you guys, season ticket members. We want to, obviously increase our presence there and hopefully get more people to listen to the show. The more people who listen and the more things that we can do. Really, this is up to you guys. If you leave us reviews on iTunes or SoundCloud or any of the places, you help us out so much with what we do. And we've been doing this since 2009. There are not a ton of people who have who have been around this long and doing what we do, and that's one of our sources of pride. We've had unbelievable guests on this show from the very beginning, and we got lucky. We got extremely lucky at being sort of, first in a lot of this stuff, and so we've stuck around, and every year I think we try to get better, and I hope that, you see that we're trying to make our interactions with you as good as we can. Doing these live shows, getting your phone calls in means the world to us, so thank you for doing that, and, we're here all season, so this is going to be fun for us. We're going to be at the season ticket member rally. I don't know how, I don't know where. I will be there. I don't care if it's me standing in a corner with a microphone. I will make it happen. All right. So find me, say hi. I'll take pictures. I'll do whatever you want. I'll sign stuff. If you're a little crazy enough for me to want to sign something, I am 100% willing to engage your fantastical world that you live in, where you think that's something. But I would gladly have everything down. And for anybody in the chat room who is a University of Arizona member, Andrew, you can just leave. With Arizona State, where anybody can get in. That's what I say. All right, so I'm wearing an Arizona State polo. That's why I'm getting some shtick in the chat room. All right, let's see. There's one more thing I want to do before I get out of here, and I can't believe we made it all the way through the hour, and I don't think I coughed once, which means I'm definitely going to cough in the next 30 seconds. We are launching a brand new thing here on Corner of the Galaxy. It is called the Friday Substitution. All right, the Friday Substitution, because I needed one more little tied-in soccer thing to do. And the Friday Substitution is our email list. If you go on to Twitter or if you go on to Facebook, if you want to email me, however you want to do it, I will send you a link, and I will put a link, and I'll work on putting the link up at the website as well, where you can get on our email list. And what we do is every Friday, we're going to email you basically 4 of our highlights from our Corner of the Galaxy content, which we have on cornerofthegalaxy.com. It's probably going to be some podcasts, a game preview, maybe a game recap. So that way we make sure that you're not missing things. And that also means that eventually in the future, that whenever we do any new merchandise or stuff like that, I'm able to offer the people who listen to us most, who are on the email list, a discount. Or first shot at something. We're talking about doing scarves. I think people are really, really interested in that. And if that's something you're interested in, I want to do it for you. So that might be a way to do it is, the first people who get shot at it will be on our email list. Like I said, go to Twitter, look for the Friday substitution tweets that I put out. Go to Facebook, look for the Friday substitution. Sign up for the for the emails list. I'm not going to sell your information to other people. That's not what this is about. This is about getting you our content. If maybe you're busy and you forgot about it, I understand. That's fine. No problems. But we want to continue to bring you the most honest LA Galaxy content from the independent side that we can. Kevin Baxter from the LA Times is killing it right now on Corner of the Galaxy from the Box. If you're not listening to that show, you're missing out. I'm telling you, you're missing out because Kevin is absolutely dedicated to bringing you guys the truth, and he doesn't care if that means that the Galaxy aren't necessarily happy with him or the MLS is not necessarily happy with him. He just wants to bring the truth, and he thinks that's what you guys deserve. And quite honestly, that's what I want you to have as well, and that's what I'm trying to do here as well. I may not always be positive. I think as Raul said, trying to keep it real. I'm not big on, being all street with some of the words I use, but if we can keep it real here, if we can tell you what's going on, if we can give you behind the scenes stuff that nobody else is going to give you, then I think that's providing you a service, and I think that we're doing a good job. So again, the Friday substitution, sign up for our email list. The first one will be out on Friday morning, which a lot of you will be listening to the podcast right now, and you're being like, oh, it's Friday already. So the first one will be out Friday morning, Friday afternoon, sometime on Friday. We're definitely going to get them to you on Friday. The Friday substitution, Corner of the Galaxy is going to bring you all those email content stuff that we possibly can. All right. Trying to think if there's anything else. The LA Galaxy did move a game from May 31st against Colorado at StubHub Center to September 2nd. Big deal. One of the reasons it is it takes 3 games in a row. It tosses those 3 games in a row. It would have been 3 games in 8 days. That's gone. It also takes a midweek game, and it moves it to the weekend. Win, 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 win. 100% win across the board. Anybody who complains about this, you need to take a long walk, short pier. You know how it works. Here's the other cool thing, something that we're working on. 2 things. I'll tell you 2 things that I'm working on right now. Efforting behind the scenes is one of my favorite things to say, so I'm efforting behind the scenes. 1, to get LA Galaxy 2 head coach, who I ran into and who's a friend of the show, Mike Munoz, on the show. One of the reasons I want to talk to him is LA Galaxy 2 is going to hold open tryouts in London and Manchester, England, coming up on May 31st and June 1st. And then June 3rd and 4th. They're in London and in Manchester. This is cool. Yes, it's a bit of a marketing stunt, but it's also something to be like, hey, we're the LA Galaxy. We're going to go in. We're going to take some of your talent that you guys clearly don't appreciate, and we're going to turn it into LA Galaxy 2 players who possibly could be senior team players. That's kind of interesting to go into, like, sort of football's. I'm not going to say football's birthplace, but you know what I mean whenever I say it's the football holy land is England, and go in there and say we can find talent that you've missed. Ballsy, in my opinion. Ballsy. Anyway, I want to talk to Mike Munoz about that. And then the other thing is that I'm trying to get Jovan Karofsky on the show very shortly as well. So those are my 2 things that I have. Kurt Onalfo, also one of my targets to have on the show. I expect that to happen. I would like to say before the season starts, I don't think that's going to happen. But shortly, we will have him on. Those are all people that I am targeting as of right now. Romain Alessandrini, I want him on the show. All right? I mean, these are guys... You name it. If there's a player in the LA Galaxy, I want them on the show. That's for you guys. That's for me. I enjoy it. You get to learn something from these guys. All right. We had Nigel de Jong on last year, right before he tried to kill Darlington Nagbe. Quote, kill Darlington Nagbe. All right. That's what we're trying to do on the show. That's the level that we're trying to aspire to. We want to be your place for LA Galaxy analysis, for news from Kevin Baxter, from news from us. We're doing that. And we have a wonderful group of volunteers who write for the Corner of the Galaxy. And if you want to be one of those guys, email me, cornerofthegalaxy@gmail.com. I have no problems with doing it. It's a self-start. I don't force anybody to do anything. Yes, I write a lot of stuff. All right? That doesn't mean that I have to. If I send something out and nobody wants to write about it, I write about it. That's how it works. All right? That's it. I know the show's gone off the rails. Here at the end, we've gone a little bit longer probably than we should have. But hey, a little bonus Corner of the Galaxy for you guys. I don't think anybody's going to complain too much. All right? I think that about does it. If you're looking for me on Twitter, at JGuesman, JGUESMAN, and of course, at Galaxy Podcast, go to cornerofthegalaxy.com. the Friday substitution. Sign up for it. Find it on Twitter. Find it on Facebook. I'm going to put it on the website. I'm going to figure it out. Go to the website. Find it. Not right now. Give me a day. I'll get it up there. Okay? But sign up for the Friday substitution. All right? That's what I want. That's your goal. That's your stuff. And we will see you out there at the season ticket member rally on Sunday. I will see you out at the game on Saturday. Soccer is upon us, boys and girls. It is time to get back to StubHub Center. It is time for LA Galaxy soccer to start up. All right? Preseason game Saturday. See you guys there. For everybody here at the Corner of the Galaxy team, I'm Josh Guesman. You've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy. Have a great night, day, afternoon, morning, however you're listening to us, and we thank you for joining us.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast, and be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.